you're going to start Jack Campbell tomorrow?
We'll see. He's not even off the ice yet. I thought it was a good sign that he was out there today and battling with his teammates and had a good practice, but I haven't talked to him or the trainers yet, so we'll see.
Now, when you have a goalie like him, he admittedly struggled. He obviously got some time to work in his game. He's had this respite. It's been quite a long time now.
Yep.
What do you think when you put him back in the net, whether it's tomorrow or the next game? What's going through your mind as he comes back off a long rest?
Well, the first thing is just to make sure he's okay, right? Because he took the puck to the face, so that's most important, is make sure he's healthy. He's put in a lot of work. He's feeling good. I have no doubt that he's going to give us what he has in his next start, whenever that is. But most importantly today, just want to make sure he's okay.
Last one for me. Yeah. Does your team and do the players maybe owe him a little bit better start? They haven't played well in front of him much this year.
Yeah. I think he's part of our team, and our team can start better. You look at last night's game, we turned the puck over, led to a penalty against, led to a goal against early, but I thought we controlled most of the first period. I thought the rhythm of that first period was to our advantage. We had numerous chances to score. It was a 1-1. The shots were 11-5. When it comes to Jack Campbell, we want to start well, whether it's Jack Campbell, Stuart Skinner, or Grant Fuhr in the net. It doesn't matter who's in the net. We want to make sure that we're starting better as a team, because I think when we start well, we play well. It's proven.
Jack's got all the ability in the world, but sometimes, I covered him for a couple of years, sometimes it's the mental side of the game that gets them. How do you guys help him through that? Confidence or whatever that is?
I think confidence is earned, and usually it starts right here on the practice rink. Jack's a popular teammate. He works his tail off, and he knows he's better than he showed. We know he's better than he showed. He's put a lot of work in over the last week, and when he gets his next start, we're excited for it, because he's a great teammate and someone people want to play hard for.
When you're looking at him, what do you want to see from him? What do you want to hear from him when you're making your decision of when to put him in?
Well, I want to make sure that he feels good. I want to make sure the doctors sign off on it. It was just a freak thing that happened during the game yesterday. It went off someone's stick and hit him. When you're talking about goaltenders, you want to make sure that their vision's proper, that their head is in the right spot, and that they're healthy going into a start. So for us, that's where we're at with him.
So he's had over a week of just straight practice. Have you seen, is he trending up? Is he looking better? Is this helping?
Well, I think what happens when you get a chance to almost mentally reset and physically reset. So there's things technically that he works on with his goaltender coach and Dustin Schwartz, but I think just having a breather and having Stuart play at the level that he has allowed for us to give him a little bit of a breather. It's a little bit of a reset for him. As I said earlier, he's a popular teammate, works his tail off, and we have full confidence that he'll be good in his next start.
I wanted to play off of something that you were talking about yesterday with Connor and the leadership aspect. I wonder, you're not going to compare him to other guys, but from other captains you've been around and worked with, the growth that you've seen, is it similar with Connor, or is his at a different level because he's just a different level?
Well, he's a generational player. I've been fortunate. I've seen some real good captains in Detroit with Steve Yzerman, and then they transitioned it into Nick Lidstrom, and then went to San Jose, and we had a few different captains in San Jose. And then I saw Connor have the C as a young man early in his career here in Edmonton. So I've been in this organization for 8 years. I see someone who is not only physically matured and brought his game to a new level, I see someone who's emotionally matured, intellectually matured, and where I see huge growth in him as a person is in his leadership aspect of things. He's a generational player. He's driven by one thing, and that's team success. He wants the Edmonton Oilers to achieve the ultimate goal of winning a Stanley Cup, and he's willing to do whatever it takes to get that done. And as I said yesterday, what I think about his leadership is we've seen him set a standard. Now he's holding people to that standard. And while we haven't played consistent enough yet this year, there's been good spurts. We're trying to build our game and work through things. We understand that our goal is to get better every day, and he's the one who's leading us in that charge.
Nick did that, you know, right? I mean, Patty did that, right?
But I saw those guys at different points in their career, right? Like Steve Yzerman, I think, was 40 years old in the last year, and I was just a young man on that staff, so I got to see him at a special time in his career. I saw a European captain hoist the Stanley Cup in Nick Lidstrom, and then obviously in San Jose with the great leaders that we had there, and Marlowe and Thornton and Rob Blake was a captain for us there, and then ultimately got transitioned to Joe Pavelski. But you know, I hold Connor in the highest esteem, and I see somebody who's put a lot of thought and work not only into his game, but also the leadership side of things.
Jay, Dylan Holloway's ice time varied.
Yep.
You know, he played 15 minutes in Carolina. You know, last night still 10, but other nights less. How do you know when to use him and when he deserves to be pushed up and when, you know, you sit him down? Yeah,
well, sometimes if we're dressing 11 forwards, there's opportunity to spot him around a little bit more. I try and use these two things right here, which, you know, I believe that players give us real-time information in order to make decisions. Different games play out in different ways, and his ice time has fluctuated. I've seen growth in some areas. You know, he's working his tail off. He's coachable, you know, and he's finding his way in the hardest league in the world. But you know, someone that we're very bullish on long term because he does have a lot of raw materials of a very good hockey player.
You kind of touched on it then. How would you assess the way his first 14, 15 games have gone, you know, knowing that he's had the injury too that kept him back a little bit?
Yeah, well, I think I said this the other day. What's he at right now? 60 professional games? I don't know the correct answer. It's around there, though. I know that. So he's at 60. He's in his first professional year. He's had a tough go with the injury. He made our team out of training camp, and he's played on different lines with different people, and he's finding out what his capabilities are at this level. What he can do, what he can't do, where pucks have to get to, how important it is to defend and be a positive player. But he's no different than a lot of young men in this league. He's finding his way, and as I said, there's a lot of potential there, and he's working real hard.
Given that he is 20 years old and he hasn't played a lot, is that fourth line role kind of beneficial to him at this stage of his career, do you think? When he has played
I think when we go 11-7, I mean, you number the lines, I don't. Okay. When we're going 11-7, we move people around, we see who's going. I would judge it more on ice time, you know, and making sure he's getting the necessary ice time. He does have to play, but we're also, and it's important to note, we're in a spot in our year where, you know, margins are slim and margins are thin. So we have to make sure we're doing what's best for the Edmonton Oilers while at the same time doing what's best for Dylan Holloway as well.
And you've had some injuries too, right?
Yeah, we've had some injuries. You know, we can't forget that we've lost a 35-goal scorer in Evander Kane, 20-goal scorer in Kyler Yamamoto. So right now we're trying to find ways to plug some of those holes and elevate people in the lineup. And when Dylan's playing really well, he gets elevated. When other people play well, they get elevated.
I'm going to cut you off there.
Thanks, guys.